Good to be on the show, Jim. Thank you.
All right, Sanjay, I listened to the whole call, and I know that there was a big perception, maybe misperception, that because your revenues are going up, your margins should be going up, and therefore your margins were very disappointing in terms of a projection. Is that true, or did people and the analysts just gang up on you because they were so darn wrong, recommending your stock between 47 and 51?
Well, Jim, our revenue, as you pointed out, guidance for FQ1 is actually higher. The midpoint is higher than what we achieved in our FQ4. Our margin guidance is lower. That is because there is in DRAM still some excess supply. But what is important to note is that the end market demand trends are back to normal now. Customer inventories are back to normal. The industry has some excess supply that is impacting the pricing. That's affecting our FQ1 guidance here. But it's important to note that the demand growth is now higher than the supply growth. The inventory in the industry is coming down rapidly. So basically the stage is set for improving fundamentals in the industry. As I look at 2020, yes, in the first calendar quarter of 2020, there may be some seasonality, but long-term health of the industry, I'm optimistic about industry fundamentals in 2020.
Okay, Sanjay, that's important because long-term 2020 is like tomorrow. I felt that you did not speak enough about demand growth in the call, whether it be for smartphone, graphics, cloud demand, and those would have changed the dynamic had you addressed them. Again, I think the stock went to 51. I think the stock went to 45. And the confusion I had where analysts were expecting that this next quarter was going to be huge instead of 2020 being huge.
You know, long-term demand vectors, as you pointed out, are absolutely strong in our industry. Just look at the trends in cloud computing. You know, AI applications are driving more need for memory and storage, and new CPU platforms are being introduced in the market that have more channels that require more memory and storage, more DRAM and flash. Look at smartphones, 5G. This is going to drive long-term growth in the market. Average capacities of content in your smartphone for DRAM and flash absolutely continues to increase at a rapid clip. And we are very pleased, whether you look at IoT, autonomous, cloud, smartphones, and market drivers are all pointing to increasing content. In fact, this year in smartphones, flash content is increasing by about 50% on an average, and DRAM content is increasing by about 25% on an average. So demand trends are solid in our industry. We are just in a period of excess supply. And again, the industry has done a good job. Certainly Micron has done a good job in terms of controlling its supply growth so that now the demand growth is greater than supply growth, and that bodes well for the long-term fundamentals of the industry. In fact, in DRAM, in some parts of our business, with leading-edge nodes, we are actually seeing some supply shortages for our business. So I'm enthusiastic about the opportunities ahead for Micron.
Again, I thought you didn't emphasize that enough on the call, and I think people kind of took a misdirection. Okay, so you bought 80 million shares. There is still a huge amount of firepower in your buyback. That's only $2.7 billion. You have a lot of cash. Stock at 45, 46. Go to your board, go to your treasurer, go to your CFO and say, let's go back in, because I understand that you did not buy stock when it went to the high 40s, low 50s. This is your sweet spot, and you're going to put money to work after this interview.
In our fiscal year 2019, we actually bought back shares at about average of 40, $2.7 billion given back to the shareholders through share repurchase program. And we remain committed to dedicating at least 50% of our free cash flow on an ongoing basis towards share purchases.
Okay,
you know, the long-term fundamentals, again, are healthy. And Micron, with respect to things that are in its control, is executing very well with respect to our cost competitiveness, narrowing the gap with competition, resulting in relatively improved EBITDA margins for our business, strengthening our product portfolio, deepening our partnerships with customers, and exercising pricing discipline. So we are executing well, and I am confident about the long-term prospects for our industry and for Micron's business.
All right, let's talk about, again, potential upside and when it could hit. I know you've been using that 100-day target for inventory. Inventory days were at 131 at the end of last quarter. How far are you away from the target? And when the target comes, is it possible that we will see a bit, not a spike, but a nice change in how much you're getting for DRAMs, and therefore, again, your numbers are going to prove to be conservative?
You're right to note that our days of inventory came down actually fast in our last fiscal quarter that we just reported. In fact, our inventory improvement is faster than what we had anticipated just a few months ago. And this is because the demand, as we had projected actually initially, is coming back for our products in the second half of this year. So, and we also said in the call yesterday that our inventory will continue to improve this quarter as well. So basically, the necessary conditions are set. Demand in terms of volume is increasing. The supply and inventory position is improving. And there is always a lag. I can't predict. There's always a lag. Could be a few months. And of course, barring macroeconomic conditions, we do see absolutely ongoing improvement in inventory, ongoing improvement in industry fundamentals. So it's a matter of time, Jim.
Sanjay, we played the sound of the president in front of the UN this week. Your reaction to being used as an example of Chinese IP theft, and did you help him get to this $8 billion number?
So what I'll tell you is that, first of all, President Trump, the meeting that he mentioned, it took place a couple of months ago, where the White House had invited several industry CEOs to discuss the technology landscape. And we appreciated the opportunity to express our points of view in that meeting. The president also, in the UN address this week, referred to a Chinese company where we have a dispute with respect to misappropriation of our trade secrets as well as other intellectual property. And we are appreciative of U.S. administration's focus on protecting intellectual property. And Department of Justice actually, on its own, as well as Department of Commerce, had done their own analysis in terms of the impact and the numbers that the president quoted in his speech. What I'll tell you is that Micron, with a very rich 40-year history, has invested billions of dollars over the years in advancing memory and technology development. We have more than 40,000 patents that we have contributed to the industry over 40 years. So, of course, we will defend our intellectual property vigorously. And we do believe that intellectual property should be valued in all countries, in all geographies around the world. So it is an important principle for Micron, which is absolutely driving innovation forward and addressing exciting opportunities from data center to IoT to autonomous in the end markets today.
So how do you view the overall dispute with China right now and the potential resolution? You obviously want your intellectual property protected. That is a key part of what the administration is pushing for. At the same time, you are suffering a bit as a result of those who you supply components to. How do you view it from here in terms of what would be a strong outcome for Micron?
So yes, we certainly want our intellectual property to be protected and legal systems to be such that intellectual property protection is enforceable. China is an important market for Micron and for our semiconductor industry in general. Within China, Micron is deeply engaged with our customers there. We have very good relationship for very many years, and those customers are valued customers to us, and we are delivering tremendous value with our memory and storage, which are absolutely key enablers for the innovation agenda of our customers worldwide, including customers in China. So I think it's very important that the two largest global economies here, US and China, are able to work out their differences and really come up with systems in an enforceable fashion that enable free and fair trade, including intellectual property protection. So I am optimistic, I'm hopeful that, and it's important for the growth of not only the semiconductor companies, but growth of the global economies, that the two countries are able to resolve the differences and come up with an agreement that ultimately enables people as well as the businesses to really freely grow here.
All right, Sanjay, one last question. The cloud stocks have been horrendous. Anything related to servers have been just horrible. But you're still seeing demand? Are these industries that are connected to that doing awfully? Why are they getting hit? Why do you think these stocks are coming down, given the demand story that you're outlining in your conference call?
So, Jim, what I'll tell you is that cloud and data center growth for us is strong. Of course, in the first half of the calendar year, our demand in that market segment was affected because last year the customers there had built inventory, but they were consuming that inventory in the first half to meet their end market demand. So our end market demand in those applications continued to be strong. We see ongoing growth in cloud applications. Yes, the CapEx spend, sometimes the demand there can be lumpy, but long-term trend is one that requires more AI in cloud applications, and that needs deeper data insights. And guess what? That data lives in the solutions that Micron provides, the memory and storage solutions. So we look at cloud and data center as a long-term growth vector where the growth will be greater than the average of the industry growth, both for DRAM and flash solutions.
All right, that's terrific, Sanjay. I'm more upbeat than you were. I thought you were a little too downbeat on the conference call. Come, bring your game, man. Come on, I've seen you on Mad Money, and I know you can do it. Anyway, look, I'm giving you a hard time, but I thought the quarter was great. Congratulations. Sanjay Mehrotra, CEO, Micron. Good to see you, sir.